Baseball family, today we're going to talk about the Mariners being liquid lightning. Mets fans are mad at Mad Max, and your developing playoff picture right now.
9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome back, baseball family, to another episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I am throwing Brad proverbial curveballs this evening because it is one of those days. And
you're throwing me knuckleballs,
excited.
Brig. That's what you're throwing me. These are uncatchable knuckleballs.
I feel a little bit bad. I do. I probably don't feel as bad as I should, but that's because I'm a bad person. Anyway, Brad.
I think it's a sleep deprivation talking is what it is.
That's all it is. Yes, I've been very sleep deprived, but that's okay because we're excited to be here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is going to make Brad very happy because his Seattle Mariners remain in first place. And we're going to talk a lot about why and what has happened. Let's get into it now. Leading again with the Mariners because Briggs excited to talk about them because you led with the Mariners last time because I wasn't here.
Did because you weren't here to stop
you
me.
could get away with it. So I've chosen to lead us off with the Mariners today. But in order to talk about the Mariners right now, we have to first talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay, remember in the beginning of the season when Tampa Bay began and everyone was all hot to trot about Tampa Bay. Holy crap, greatest start in the history of Major League Baseball. We've never seen anything like this before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went in their first 50 games of the season. They went 35-15, which is pretty good.
It is pretty good, yeah, that is.
But you shove that into August, a little bit of June and into August, and nobody cares. It's really strange because the Mariners' last 50 games, they have gone 36-14. It's an even better situation in Seattle. But because
which
it's
is
Seattle,
crazy to think about.
In the middle of the season, nobody cares, and that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But you know what's funny about that, Brig, is like there were a couple times during that stretch where it's just but lately, though, when they've gone on 2 8-game winning streaks that were separated by just like a couple games, that makes a big difference. Going 16-1, right? Even 16-3, maybe what it was. But it's a big deal. And honestly, I would rather have this streak now than in May, because in May, as we've seen, it helps. But you certainly cannot win a division in May.
No.
Right? Because right now they're sitting in the wild card. Granted, they got 6 games on the Rangers and the Astros right now. The Rays do.
Yeah.
But they're a few games back to the Orioles, and I'm sure they'd rather have 6 games on the Orioles than they would on the others. So
yeah.
I really like the timing of this streak because it also means that they have a chance to peak at the right time. I just hope that it's not too early.
Yeah.
You know,
that information, by the way, came to us via Zach Left on Twitter or X or whatever,
whichever you prefer to call it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
My question to you, Brad, is can the Mariners hold on to the division with a month left in the season?
I want to say yes. Right? Like, that's the fan in me. That's the optimist in me saying, like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And the best baseball of the season right now. And there's only a month left. But on the other hand, though, like, the Astros are still a good team. The Rangers are still a good team, despite their struggles lately. They've come down. I don't think they're falling off. I don't think that they have the bullpen necessarily to come back and, like, dominate the division. I'm talking about the Rangers. Dominate the division the rest of the way. The Mariners certainly have the pitch, but the question is whether the bullpen, like which Jekyll and Hyde of the bullpen shows up, because they go through phases like where they're really not great, and then they go through phases where they're absolutely unhittable. And I'm hoping the next 4 weeks they go through a phase where they're unhittable, because that's about how long those streaks last, right?
Yeah.
So
It's true.
So I think it's possible, probable. I'm going to hedge my bet and say maybe. A definite maybe. What do you think, Brig? Do you think that they can hold on to the division?
No. I think they will be battling it out in the wild card. Now that hurts my feelings. Because like at the beginning of the season, we both picked Seattle to win the whole thing.
Right.
And for a while there, we were like, oh man,
not going to make the playoffs. Yeah.
And now they've shocked us and turned things around. And so I'm
the thing though, Brig, is that the way they're playing right now is the way that I thought they should have been playing all year.
Right.
If they were playing like this all year, they'd be up there with the Braves, right? This is the thing is I do think they can hold on. I'm going to say I think they can hold on because they have the pitching, and the pitching is what wins this time of year. Right?
That's true.
The Rangers, I don't think have the pitching. Like they have Max, but they've lost DeGrom, and they've proven that their bullpen is super reliable, and that's going to be a problem coming down to the wire. Now, the Mariners and Rangers play 2 series against each other at the end of September, and that's going to be significant and could be the deciding factor. Do you still think the Rangers are going to miss the playoffs? Yes, I do. I don't think the Rangers are going to win the division. I don't think they're going to make it in the wild card. And if the Rangers do make it, I think the Rays miss because I think the Astros make it, the Mariners make it. Obviously, the Orioles and the Cleveland baseball team. No, not the Cleveland, the Twins. The Twinkies. Yeah, Minnesota. The Twins make it. That I think it's either going to be the Rangers, the Rays left out, and I think it's going to be the Rangers.
Interesting. That's interesting. We'll get into more of that later because we got all this.
Yeah, I totally got ahead of myself there. You just get excited, Brig. My team's on top of the division for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We're all happy for you, unless we're Rangers fans, and then we are not. But otherwise,
fans, I'm sure Zip is not very happy for me right now. But I don't. He lives up in the Seattle area now, so maybe he is. I don't know.
Yeah. So Bob's not happy then. That's what it is.
Yeah, there you go. Bob's not happy.
Bob's not happy. All right, let's move on. Last week, the Dodgers last week said that Tony Gonsolin could miss the rest of the season due to elbow inflammation, which is the signpost of Rut-Row Town on Tommy John precursors. Right. That's just what it is. So this week, the Dodgers are saying that Tony Gonsolin will miss the rest of the season and most likely the next season, the bulk of it, due to Tommy John surgery. So here we go. We got proved right. Encore, as the French say. So
right, I know, and I hate being right. Like, of all things, I hate being right about inflammation and Tommy John because you hate to see him. But it's gotten to be the point where it's like, everybody's going to need it. Anybody who throws a slider is going to need it. And most guys throw sliders these days. So it stinks. And he's only 29. So coming back from Tommy shouldn't be that big of a deal for him. I think he'll be okay. But I do have a question for you, Brig, about this because we've been talking about the Dodgers all season about how like they should have torn it down and now they're scorching hot, right? But my question for you is, do the Dodgers have enough depth to keep dealing with these injuries all the way through the playoffs?
Yes.
Yes, they do. You think they can beat the Braves with the depth they have and the injuries that they're dealing with?
Okay, no, that's a different question, and the answer to that question is no.
Okay.
But do they have the depth to compete in the playoffs? Yes, they do. Are they going to beat the Braves? No. They might not even get the chance to play the Braves. I don't know. We'll see how it all breaks down. But yeah, no. If the Braves don't make it to the World Series, which is the official way that you have to say it, then I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I will be so shocked, Brad. I will be so completely shocked if they don't take the NL by storm.
Well, because my big concern with the Dodgers is that the playoffs are a war of attrition, right? Yeah. That it's like everybody's dealing with injuries, but at the same time, you're all Colin Cowherd says equally rested, equally vested. right? Everybody's playing for something and everybody's rested. So it's like, how many of your starting 9 are you going to trot out there every day? Because and how healthy are they? Because chances are not everybody at this point in the season. And so I don't want to say worry about the Dodgers just because I don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a Dodgers fan, I would be worried about the ability to deal with the injuries as they pile up into the postseason. Because anybody who's playing for the Dodgers the last 5 years has been, I mean, that's like an extra half a season that you've got under your belt with so many postseason games.
That's true.
It's a lot of games.
I agree with that. I don't know. Let's stay in California. The Padres have placed Yu Darvish on the 15-day IL. Again, here comes elbow inflammation. Ruh-roh. Darvish has not been real great this year. He's got a 4.56 ERA. He's recorded 141 strikeouts, 136 and a third innings to record all that. He signed a 6-year, $108 million extension in February. He's already had Tommy John.
He has. I wonder if he's been dealing with I don't want to say elbow inflammation, but if like the elbow inflammation is like a partial UCL tear, if he's been without a lot of the season and he hasn't been his normal self, he has not been Darvishian, if you will.
Ooh, right? I like that.
Thank you. So I wonder if he's been dealing with this problem a lot longer than what we think, because like we saw beginning of this year or last year, we were like a guy who's has a terrible outing and then he goes on the IL with a flexor strain or elbow inflammation and weekly he needs to have Tommy John surgery, right? Darvish has been not himself all year long. It's like, has he been dealing with this and just like playing through it? Felix Hernandez played with the torn UCL. He just changed the way he pitched. Wasn't as good, but he was serviceable, especially on a bad team where it didn't really matter.
Yep. Doesn't that sound interesting?
Yeah, so I wonder how long he's been dealing with this. He's just been playing through it, and now that the season's about done, they're like, well, we'll put you on the IL, see what happens. Next week, we need Tommy John.
That's if he's been forthcoming, or they have or haven't noticed it. Who knows?
Yeah, because
they're watching everything so closely, though. You'd imagine they'd catch it. And I would have leaned 100% on that bar stool had I not, I don't know why, that was a weird metaphor. I would have gone to bat with that opinion had I not learned that the Yankees have been playing Anthony Rizzo with concussion symptoms for
a while,
like 60 days or whatever it was.
Yeah, something like that.
So now I don't know who's culpable, which is a fancy word for guilty.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. Because let's skip down real quick to our weekly Ohtani report.
Let's do that.
So, for those of you who might have missed it, Angels GM Perry Manasian revealed that the club offered to do an MRI on Ohtani's arm earlier this month. It was, I think he left his start on the 3rd or the 9th with hand cramping. They offered to do it for him, but he and his agent reportedly, according to Mr. Manasian, refused. They didn't think it was necessary. And this is according to Fletcher of the Orange Register. Now, it is interesting to hear that, especially the guy who's had Tommy John surgery before. But in Ohtani's defense, Brig, let me tell you this quick story. My last full season of baseball, it ended with a shoulder injury. I trotted out there, warmed up, everything ready to go, and I feeling a little bit of discomfort in the first inning. By the second inning, I could barely throw the ball back to the pitcher. For those of you who don't know, I was a catcher, and I couldn't throw I didn't do warm up throw down to second. I just waved everybody off. I said, no, not right now, and just gave the ball to the pitcher, and we just went. And then after that inning, luckily nobody got on base, but I went over to my coach. I was like, I can't lift my arm above my shoulder, and I can't throw the ball back to the pitcher. I was like, I don't know what the problem is. He's like, all right, take the gear off, and somebody else got in there. And I was talking to the other coach, He's like, what do you think it is? I was like, honestly, I think I slept on it wrong.
Right.
It's like, I was like, just need to sit out. I'll go home and ice it, rest it. I was like, I should be good to go tomorrow. He's like, all right, cool. Come back next day, still can't throw the ball, still hurts like nobody's business. This went on for the last month of the season. I had like state tournaments, regional tournaments, everything, and I was catching bullpens. I could throw back to the pitcher in the bullpen, but I couldn't throw hard, right? So I was able to get by with a shoulder where I couldn't throw. Fast forward, I think it was like 4 years later. I was talking to an athletic trainer. Actually, no, that had to have been like 10 years later. I was talking to an athletic trainer for a minor league baseball team, and I said, this is what I had going on. It sounds a lot like what the pitcher had going on. He's like, yeah, you have biceps tendonitis. You just needed to rest it and stretch it after like a week and a half. Instead, I was thinking working it was going to be what was going to get it going, right?
Right.
And so I can see Ohtani being like, no, it's just hand cramping, arm fatigue is what he called it, right? I can see that because I understand it. I've been there. But at the same time, though, like, I can understand the frustration from the organization standpoint. Like, we want to help you. We want to see what's wrong so we can get it better sooner, right? So I see both sides of it. I see why the Angels came out and said that. But at the same time, though, that is a bad move. You've got to probably going to leave in free agency because that makes him look really bad in the court of public opinion. Because a lot of people don't understand that, like, oh, I can just rest it and I'll be fine. You know, ice it, stretch it, I'll be good tomorrow. Because most people haven't been there.
It's true. Yeah, you're right. Well, and he's still playing baseball. Like he's
still hitting and
he's
hit
great.
well.
He did doubles and triples and everything like that. And by the way, I just got a notification that Jose Altuve, with an 8th inning homer, hits first career cycle.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. What did you say?
I said, anywho.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We all know how I feel about Jose Altuve.
Yeah, I was gonna say me too, but it is. I mean,
that's good. I mean, good for him. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Mets for a minute, because this was too stinking funny. So this is just a real quick. So the Rangers are back in Queens, or back there in Queens playing the Mets, which means that Max Scherzer is back in town. You know, for those of you who missed the first half of the season, Max Scherzer was a Met.
Yeah.
For a time. Okay.
It was brief, but he did it.
And so the Mets put together a tribute video for him, highlighting his brief time in Queens, which to me is just like, I get it. You loved him because of who he is, but I don't think he really cares that much.
I don't think he cares,
especially with the way he left. And the fans don't really care that much because they booed him.
No, they care a lot. Because he jumped ship.
He did jump ship. Yeah, you're right. That's what they care about. They don't care about him. They care that he jumped ship. I think
that's right. It was the disloyalty or whatever they were sensing.
Yeah. Like, so funny. But Brig, I'm curious who's right in this situation, though. Like, are the fans or is the team? Does it matter?
Probably no. It's both. It's both. Everybody's right in this situation.
Everybody's right.
Okay, not everybody. The club shouldn't have put together a tribute video, but other than that,
the thing.
they're the ones who made.
He
didn't
spend a decade as a Met. If he had spent a decade as a Met, like, yeah, go ahead. But it's like 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, maybe 20 minutes. Yeah, no, I think the fans are well within their rights to feel the way they feel. I think Max jumped ship. That's okay. It makes sense to me. Whatever.
Yeah. Just so funny.
Just sit in your feels for a while, everybody. If you don't sit in your feels, then they will come out when you least expect them and at the least opportune moment, and then you'll have to deal with it, and it will cause chaos. So just feel your feelings, because your feelings are real, baseball family. Speaking of real feelings, the Brewers are having stadium negotiation issues. They have, for those of you that may not remember, a few months ago, Rob Manfred casually dropped the A's into a conversation about American Family Field in Milwaukee needing renovations. And it was this super passive-aggressive, backhanded comment, okay? Now, the Brewers are somehow they're in negotiations with the local and state governments to figure out who's going to pay for the reservation or the renovations, which is fine. There's a price tag, and we got to figure out who's going to pay for it. That's cool. So I'm glad they're actively negotiating. Why it has taken this long for reports to come out, I don't know. But there's a lot going on in the world of baseball, and it feels like, okay, I heard, so we all know, I'm going to take a tangent here, Brad.
Go for it. We got time.
We'll get back to Milwaukee. But listen, the A's and their whole Oakland thing is a debacle. And it's a mess. Where are they going to play for the next 3+ years while they work out a deal and build a stadium in Vegas? If it even gets approved at every level of approval. Major League Baseball has to approve it. The city, they have to have a board and a bond, and they got to build everything. Then there's the hotel that's around it. And don't forget, they have averaged like 112 degrees this month or whatever. So it's like, okay, what are we going to do about that? There's so much that goes into the Vegas thing. So in the interim, we've seen a bunch of other cities raise their hand for the Oakland relocation. We're not going to get into that. Then, and this kills me, Milwaukee gets, their hand slapped, their wrist slapped about their ballpark not being, up to snuff. And then suddenly the White Sox are in negotiations with Nashville about relocating the Chicago White Sox to anywhere other than Southside Chicago.
And it actually sounds like a really good idea after this weekend break.
What is going on?
I think it's all leverage. They're all leverage plays, right? Like, I thought Manfred dropping that to Brewer was not a threat to them. It was use this as leverage to get yourself renovations from your city. Because according to, so about this, the American Family Field is the Southeast Wisconsin Professional Baseball Park District. Okay. And they're supposed to cover repairs. And this is from their website. The district is comprised of Milwaukee, Ozaukee, Racine, Washington, and Waukesha counties. The district has been charged with the oversight and monitoring, planning, financing, design, constructing, commissioning, operating, and maintaining American Family Field. The district is by a board of directors comprised of 13 individuals representing the 5-county area. That means the government covers repairs.
That is exactly what that means.
So I don't understand why it's this whole big thing. And like the Brewers GM, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now because I forgot to write it down. But he said optimistic means anyway. He said I'm and good relations. So things are headed in the right direction, but still, nonetheless, it was leverage. That if you're not going to pay for these renovations to get this ballpark up to where it needs to be, we leave, and Major League Baseball would waive a relocation fee and make it very easy for us. But it feels like things are headed in the right direction, but it's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. And I think all Chicago, again, leverage play.
It's the only thing that makes any sense.
David Samson talked before about how he was in Texas wearing a cowboy hat saying the Marlins are moving to Texas so they could get a new ballpark. We had intention of moving to Texas ever. We just wanted to get a new ballpark.
Well, it worked.
So that's what all of it is. I don't think the White Sox will leave Chicago. They can't. They cannot leave Chicago. Like I said, maybe. Go ahead.
They said that about the A's when they were in Philly.
We've moved twice since, but I don't know. I don't feel like the White Sox can move from the south side of Chicago. It's too ingrained in history there. Unless, I don't know, they wanted to like get rid of the whole Black Sox thing and like start fresh.
Yeah, they'd have done that a long time ago.
Yeah, done that 50 years ago, 60 years ago. 100. So I don't think that'll happen. I don't think the Brewers are going anywhere. They're going to get their ballpark sorted out. I don't know. It's crazy. It's all just leverage because these teams want upgraded stadiums. Like they've talked to the Diamondbacks moving. Yeah, out into the desert west of Glendale.
Oh no! Are you kidding
They're
me?
not. They're Phoenix. There's so much land out there, Brig. That would be the perfect spot to put us out by State Farm Stadium, by the spring facility out there out in Camelback Ranch Park.
Yeah,
Perfect spot for a new stadium.
But they got to put in some
roof.
metro or something. There's some kind of public transit that'll work.
They're working on expanding the metro right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, you know what? While we're at it, head west.
I think
but they don't have a metro. They don't have a metro to the football stadium though.
Right. That's they got stuff to work on in Phoenix.
I don't know.
All right.
But anyway.
Okay, let's talk about weekend sweeps. The Mariners swept the Royals. Brad thinks that the Mariners, they were not going to drop any games to the Royals.
No, because the Royals gave them significant trouble in Kansas City.
Yeah,
the Mariners were motivated to do something about it and quash that bug early, and they kind of hung around that second or that third game. The second game there was no hanging around. The third game they kind of hung around a little bit, made a little bit of noise late, but it didn't ever feel like the Royals were going to come back and win. It felt like the Mariners were like, no, we can't let these guys down because that give us problems.
The Phillies swept the Cardinals because they absolutely should. And had they not, that would have been just foolish. And the Brewers swept the Padres because the Padres have, I think, 14 holes in the boat at this point. It could be more.
Did you see Manny Machado's team in the dugout?
No.
Yeah, he went crazy. He was smashing. He was using a bat, not his foot. So he didn't go Jared Kelenic on it, but he was smashing a water cooler with his bat and throwing. He was very upset. He just said afterwards, he's like, I want to win. And I don't blame him because we know he's competitive. That when he's on a good team, he plays really, really hard and really, really well. So I don't blame him for his frustration, man.
Listen to the irony here, though, because Baltimore's killing it.
Right.
And if he'd have just kept his attitude in check a little more, and I know we give him a lot.
I don't think so. I don't think they'd be where they are with and not a leadership thing, not a maturity thing, nothing, that they wouldn't have the pieces in place. I think that was what got things going.
I think you're right, actually.
Right direction to get to where they are now. And Gunnar Henderson's going to win AL Rookie of the Year because of it.
Yeah. Well, duh, he should.
Yeah, he should. But apparently, look, Orioles fans, because they're either going to tear it down or jack up ticket prices. So pick your poison, I guess, in Baltimore in the next couple of years. Yeah. Terrible ownership, treating their fans garbage.
It's terrible.
All right, let's do a quick fantasy update, and then we'll go into a break. You ready, Brig?
I'm so ready.
Excellent. Good. Okay, let's start at the bottom with Jewel, Big League Chupacabra, up against Denise, Grace and Fire. Jewel won like he always does. He won 690 to 548. His top performer was Paul Goldschmidt with 52 points. Denise's was Freddie Freeman with 81. Brig, you went up against Harrisburg Charlies. That's John, and you are, of course, Brigger Mortis, as we know. Brig, you won 375 to 366. Your top performer was Mookie Betts, and John's was Kyle Schwaba. Tori with Burns Turner Overdrive against Mike, our listener participant. As Devastation Incorporated, Tori won 526 to 477. Tori's top performer was Christian Walker, and Mike's was Carlos Santana. Then me, the Yonkers batsman, went up against Jason, not another fantasy team. He won this one 593 to 546. His performer was William Contreras, I believe. W. Contreras. Yeah, William Contreras of the Brewer, not the Wilson Contreras of the Carter. Yeah. And I had the top performer of the week with Cal Raleigh.
Whoa.
My man. Yeah, that's right. Good
Very
for him.
awesome.
He killed it this week, by the way. I've been joking with one of my friends that anytime Julio Rodriguez and Teoscar Hernandez hit home runs, that Cal Raleigh's like, you guys catch me in the home run race for this team. He goes out and he hits 2 for every one that those guys hit. Because he did a couple times. Every time they homered, he'd hit one and then he'd hit another one later. It was awesome. It's fantastic.
Very cool.
So Jason's record is now 11-9. I'm 7-13. Tori is 8-12. Mike is 15-5. John is at the bottom at 1-18. Brig, you are 8-12. Denise is 13-7, and Jewel is on top of the whole dang thing, 17-3 or 17-3 is his record. So
yeah.
Week 20. You want to tell us his game, Brig?
I so badly want to tell him about Versus Game because it is one of the most exciting things that we have stumbled ourselves into for you in recent memory. So Versus Game is a platform that allows you to participate in questions that we ask you on the show, and we do it all the time. We're always wanting to know your opinions on things. We're always wanting to know each other's opinions on things, and now you get to participate in the conversation. We've partnered with Versus Game to bring you into those conversations, and all you have to do is answer the questions. You can play for free, you can play with real dollar bills, and you have the chance to win money every time you interact with the game, okay? So if you want to answer a poll or provide an opinion or whatever it is that we are posing as a question, you can do that at Versus Game and have the chance to earn real dollar bills. So you go to btpod.onversus.com on your mobile browser, sign up, play the polls with us and trivia games, and it's so much fun. So that's btpod.onversus.com. Sign up and play Versus Game with us.
It's tons of fun. Now, for a quick break, when we get back, we're going to paint the playoff picture for you. Welcome back, baseball family. We are here today. We're going to do our first real check-in on the playoff picture to see how things are going now, possibly into the future, into the next month, because we have about a month left of the season. In fact,
35 days, Brad. 35 days.
On the day that this drops on Tuesday, the 29th, 35 days until officially begin.
You're right.
And you actuaries out there. Anyway.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, first we're going to go through the races that seem like they're pretty much wrapped up and decided. And then we're going to go through and look at what's a little unclear, a little hazy in the old crystal ball, if you will. Right. Mm-hmm. So first things first, American League, the one division that is really settled and not even like entirely at that, the AL Central, right? It just feels that way.
It didn't the most settled.
Yeah, it is. The Twins have a 6-game lead on Cleveland's baseball club right now, and then the Tigers are in the games back from there. Tigers are not going to catch the Twins in a month, and with the way that Cleveland is playing, I don't think they'll catch the Twins.
They could, but I don't think they will either.
Right? Yeah. Well, this is the thing is. They've shown, though, Cleveland has the last couple of days that they want to win. They really want to make a run at this because they're not letting Noah Syndergaard just sit around. They DFA'd him the other day.
Right.
So, we're not just gonna carry the weight because we can. We want somebody who can contribute every 5 days and help us win.
Yep.
So I thought that was a really interesting move, not rolling over, but at the same time, possible, not probable. The NL East has been wrapped up since May. The Braves are ahead of the 12.5 game, and the Marlins are 19 back in third place. The NL West is pretty well wrapped up because the Dodgers came storming out of nowhere. That's one of those it's almost like the Dodgers just gave everybody a head start in like a 400-meter race.
Yeah,
and then
the
Diamondbacks. Yes, yeah, it was. Yes, the Dodgers are the freeze. The D-backs, the Giants, are that poor sap who gets a lead, and then gets like halfway, starts pumping up the crowd, and then he trips and falls,
Yeah.
and then the freeze just leaves dust. And they're like, "Oh no, oh no, that's gonna be on social media forever." And the D-backs and Giants are gonna be on social media forever.
Yeah.
Granted, one of those teams will probably be in the playoffs, but man,
They
the
will.
division
They
lead and they
will.
blew it because they were pumping up the crowd too much.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
But with these leads, though, Brig, how firm do you think these are? I think the Braves and Dodgers are pretty well set in stone already. How firm do you think that Twins lead is?
I think it's much more firm than the 6 games would indicate.
Yeah,
that's how I
9.
I think it might as well be 9. Yeah.
Okay. One concern with Twins is that I saw them blow a couple games this weekend, like a couple late leads this week. And granted, it was the Rangers, who are a very good offensive team, right?
Yeah,
for the most part.
Sure.
They've come down, but at the same time, though, like that pitching is suspect, to say the least. There are some warts there that got exposed, and if it was anybody besides the Central, they wouldn't be able to hold on to that lead.
Yeah, I think
Definitely
that's true. That's true.
So, okay. Pictures that are still unclear. Let's go by division again. Let's go to the AL East first. The Orioles are ahead of the Rays by 2 games right now. A little bit of a tail of the tape between the Orioles and the Rays right now. Baltimore has a plus 95 run differential and a record of 42-31 against teams over 500. I love that stat so much.
Yeah,
Rays have a plus 174 run differential and a record against teams over 500 of 36-32, both over 500 against 500. There's an obvious difference. I don't look too much into run differential. I think it can tell a little bit of a story. At the same time, like if the games you lose big, but you're winning a bunch of close games and you're winning more games than you're losing, right? Yeah. It's an interesting picture. It's an interesting story, but it only tells a little bit of it.
But it's texture. I would say it's just texture on the story.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's an interesting bit of texture because you're right. Those close games aren't factored really heavily into that statistic, but it does give you an idea of if they go head to head, what we can expect as far as offensive or defensive capabilities. So I put the way I like to look at run differential is if I put them side by side, it gives me a more clear picture of what a head-to-head matchup might look like.
There you go. Yeah, because you look at the Rays, especially early in the season, offensive power, really good pitching. They're going to have a high run differential, like a high positive. The Orioles, on the other hand, they have good pitching, but it's not to the same level of the Rays. But they have a really good offense. So it's not even pretty good for a team like that, right? So
yeah,
I think you're right at texture. But the one that would have me worried a little bit with the Rays is the fact that when they play teams over 500, they don't do as well, right? They're only 4 games over 5 against 500, and the Orioles, on the other hand, are like they win those games.
They do.
They play up to their competition, they win them, and that I think would be the difference. I don't know what these teams look like head to head at the end of the season here, but I would put the Orioles above the Rays for that reason.
Yep, I would too. I totally agree. But the Rays have a tremendous offensive capability. Like
they could blow up for 15 any given day.
Yeah, if they get just uncorked for just 1 minute, you're going to have a problem. And there are only a couple of teams in the league that have a run differential that high. There just are.
Right. Yeah.
We'll talk about those, but it's
there.
not a long list.
Yep. All right, should we move on to the AL West?
Yes, please.
Okay, my Mariners are currently going into Monday, 1 game ahead of the Rangers and the Astros. Both the Rangers and the Astros won by now. The Mariners are winning right now, so there's that going for us, which is nice. And then the Angels are the third place team, and they are 11.5 back of the Mariners. They've kind of spiraled of late. But anyway, the Mariners currently have a plus 102 run differential, which blows my mind that it's even that high right now. But I'd say fun difference through the roof days.
Yeah, that trident is everything.
It is. So here's the thing that's fun, though, is that none of these teams have a record above 500 against 500, right? So Texas' run differential is sky high, plus 172, because they were off early.
Yeah.
And then Houston is plus 88. Okay, so let's go and let's look at the record over 500. This is crazy to me. The Mariners are 32 and 33. That's the best of the bunch. The Rangers are 32 and 34, and the Astros are 32 38. That's bananas. And I wonder how many of those how many of those wins Texas racked up early in the season when they were just putting them up on everybody, because they last week lost 8 in a row.
Right. Exactly.
So that was ugly. Certainly didn't help things. The Astros, on the other hand, are a roller coaster. I don't know what's going on with them. They'll win by a bunch. They'll lose by a bunch. They'll toss a no-no. They'll get shelled the next day. I have no idea what's going on with the Astros.
They don't either.
I think you're right.
I don't think they have any idea what's going on. I think Dusty Baker wakes up and decides maybe which medication to take that day, and that's how things go. I don't know. Like, what else could it be?
Whatever's in the 2 days. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's crazy though in Houston. But the thing that's crazy about it is that they have the experience and they are just level enough that I feel like you can't count them to be back.
You can't.
Right? So that's
foolish to discount the Astros.
So who would you? I mean, I said earlier, I think that the Mariners can hold the division.
Right.
The schedule is favorable enough the rest of the way, and if they have just enough, I believe in momentum. If they have enough momentum going into those last 3 series, 2 against Texas, 1 against Houston, that I think they could hold on and win it. Who do you think takes the West?
Texas.
You still have Texas.
I'm gonna hold on to Texas.
Okay. All right, let's go to the NL Central. The Brewers are Cubs by 4 games. The Reds are 6 games back. Possible, not probable. Milwaukee's run differential is just plus 19, but they are 37 and 36 against teams of 500. Cubs are plus 79 run differential and have a 29 and 36 record against teams over 500. But the difference with Cubs, the Brewers have been pretty level most of the season. The difference with the Cubs is they seem to turned it on since the trade deadline. And did you hear about this, Brig, with Dansby, what he said to the front office before the trade deadline?
What he said.
So the Cubs wanted to sell, right?
Yeah.
The Cubs were planning on selling. So he went to the front office and said, I read this on the Score weeks ago. And he said, look, I understand wanting to sell, right? You want to get rid of guys and you want to bring in prospects and build for the future. If you want to win next year, though, if you want to establish a winning culture here next year, you cannot sell this year because you cannot flip the switch and establish a winning culture next year. If you want to win next year, establish the winning culture this year and carry it into next year. And Dansby Swanson and his wisdom and leadership helped turn that team around, man.
And he knows what he's talking about.
He does know what he's talking about. He's got a ring. And that was absolutely fantastic. And it clicked with me that was Kyle Seager's frustration all those years in Seattle. It was like, you can't flip the switch winning culture. You've got to establish it and build it year on year. And man, the Cubs are looking like they could run at the division. I don't know if they will.
Yeah.
But they certainly could.
They could. 4 games is not insurmountable.
No, absolutely not. The Brewers have a bad week. The Cubs have a good week. They've got a lead.
Yeah. It's as simple as that. It's literally the way the cookies crumble. Like, it's not going to come. It's so close that it might not even come down to like data or any sort of analytics capabilities. It might just come down to, I didn't feel good today, and now it's over.
Right.
I mean, seriously,
you're not wrong. Yeah, I think it could. So that's going to be a really fun race to pay attention to in the rest of the way through, and keep an eye on the Reds too. I don't think they're out of it. I don't know if it's necessarily something they can catch, just because they have not been as good lately, right? Like they had a full rookie infield.
I know. I loved it though.
Like freshman football players over at the varsity and Ohtani.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yes, I love it too. And Noelvi Marte, I'm so excited that he's there because he's in the Seattle system for a long time. And I love that he's at the big level now. Good for him. Very excited.
Well, and Ellie De La Cruz has been in the league for like 7 minutes, and he's already in the running for Rookie of the Year. And he's the most electric
much as anybody
player.
else is in the National League.
Yeah.
I texted you the other day about Corbin Carroll's minus 3,500 to win the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I should have put money in when I was called it in March
when he got called up. Yeah.
When we talked about that deal, we should have put money on him right then and there just to win it. But man, yeah. So, but no, for real though, I think if Elliot Cruz had been up all year, it'd be a lot closer.
I definitely agree with that.
So
yeah.
Okay, so who spoils whom and how, Brig?
And how?
And how?
I think I'm gonna go with a hot take here and say the Cubs catch the Brew Crew.
You know what? I think you're right. They're playing well right now. The Cubbies are. Yeah, I think they'll catch them. I think right.
Yeah, I think the Orioles will hold on to the East, and I think Texas takes the AL West. And that's. I think the only spoiler is going to be the NL Central.
Okay, let's look at the wild picture real quick. Okay,
you do the AL, I'll do the National League. How about that?
If you have the Rangers winning the West, that puts the wild card as the Rays, Mariners, Astros, Blue Jays, Red Sox.
Yeah.
The Rays are up 6 games now. The Mariners would be 5 back from them. The Astros would be in the 3rd position with 2.5 games on the Blue Jays and 4.5 games on the Red Sox. Who are 3 wild card teams of that bunch at this point? Who do you think makes it through there?
Tampa Bay, Seattle, and Houston.
Okay, I'm going to go. So I have the West, so out Texas, put in Seattle, but I still think the Rangers missed the playoffs. I'm going to go Tampa Bay, Houston, and Toronto.
Oh.
The Blue Jays, 2.5 games. That's a week and a bad week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think they're a good week away from getting into the playoff picture because the Rangers just came off a bad week and may or may not have another one coming up because it took everything they had to beat the Mets tonight.
Yeah, and that's bad.
It is bad. That is not good. Not how you want it.
Okay, the National League wildcard race. Right now, the way it looks, we've got Philly has 4 games up on everybody. Chicago is a half a game ahead. That puts Arizona at even money. They're at 0. They would, if everything ended today, they would be the 3rd team. But San Francisco and Cincinnati are both a game and a half back. Miami's 3 games back, and San Diego is in a lofty 8 games back. But they were the nearest. So, Brad.
And they got all those holes
in the ship. So, let's just cut them out here. Let's just bye. San Diego.
They gone. Okay.
They gone. Okay, so how do you see the NL wildcard panning out?
Okay, so as much as I want the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs because I don't think they're – I think the Giants are – either the Giants or the Reds are going to take their spot. I don't know the Reds necessarily. I think it's going to come down to experience, and I don't want to say maturity because I don't want to say they're immature players, but that is a really young infield in Cincinnati. So that's why I don't think the Reds will make it, but the Giants are playing well right now. They looked – did you watch Sunday Night Baseball between the Giants and the Braves this week?
Yes.
That felt like playoff baseball.
It did.
That was fun. And I think the Giants can make a run. They're going to overtake the Diamondbacks, and it's going to be Phil, Milwaukee, and San Francisco as your NL wildcard teams.
So that's exactly how I feel. But I still really, really want Arizona to make it. So if I'm going to knock anybody out, then I want it to be. I want Milwaukee out because I'm loving San Francisco right now, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure Milwaukee will tank that hard. They would have to have a couple of really bad runs for that to be possible.
I know, that's why I had Milwaukee in there, to be the exact same thought that they could, but I don't think they're going to. But they're the team that I would like. I don't want to say want out, but it's because I want Arizona in more than them.
Me too. Yeah,
come on,
that's
Carroll
exactly
in the playoffs.
Right. That's all I want. I want to see Corbin Carroll in the playoffs. That's it.
I know.
That's all it is. And if I was as excited about Christian Yelich as I used to be, then I would want them to be there.
Hey,
but I don't care anymore. Why do
Yeah.
we not care anymore?
Because it's not Belly and Yelly anymore. That ship has sailed. If it was still Belly and Yelly, we'd still care.
Why are we not having a renaissance of Belly and Yelly now that there's the rivalry going on there too?
Oh, it's a different kind of rivalry. It's a rivalry, not an MVP rivalry. It's not an MVP.
No, I know,
anymore.
but the Brewers and the Cubs, man. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a team rivalry now, not player rivalry. If it's still rivalry, then yeah, like that's the kind of rivalry we would get if Ellie De La Cruz and Corbin Carroll were both up all year long. Could you imagine the Rookie of the Year race we would have if Ellie De La Cruz had come up day one like Corbin Carroll? That's the race we want right there.
That would be
the Wilds.
Yeah, it would be.
That's why we want Corbin Carroll. I would love to see his playoffs. I just think they're a year away in Cincinnati.
Yeah, but probably only one.
They could take the division next year, fill some holes, sort out some pitching. I think the Reds could be really good.
Yeah. Yep, you're right.
I don't know. We'll see. Baseball family, let us know what you think about what we have talked about with the division races here, as far as the AL West, the AL Central, all of it. Let us know what you think. Jump down to the comments or hit the link and head over to the mailbag and send us an email. There's always a link in the description for everything right there. Brig, why don't you tell them about Chinook Seedery?
Chinook Seedery. Chinook Seedery is a sunflower seed company. I would go ahead and call them a boutique sunflower seed company located in Texas, in the United States. They make the best seeds ever. Not only am I committed to saying that because it is on the packaging, I am committed to saying that because it is engraved on my heart. I literally cannot get enough of their seeds. They're my favorite. None of that was hyperbolic. Okay. They are the best seeds ever. And Brad was like, they're the best seeds ever. I was like, no, I don't know. Come on, I have favorites.
We did a whole show about it. It's all gone out the window since we found Chinook.
Seriously. So yeah, just don't if you're going through our old school videos, don't even worry about the sunflower seed taste test. We didn't know about Chinook back then. But anyway, you can get 10% off your order of Chinook seeds at chinookseedery.com using code BTPOD, and you can support your mouth, you can support the show, and get yourself some of the best seeds in the history of all sunflower seeds.
Absolutely right. Baseball family, if you want to support the show, probably the simplest and most direct way to do it is with Patreon. You can follow the link in the description, or you can head to patreon.com and search Baseball Together. We have $1, $5, $10, $15, and $500 tiers of support to support the show there. Everybody gets the bulk pin cut, the unedited version of the show. Today's is going to be really wild and crazy, I can tell you that right now. And everybody also gets a sticker. You can put it on your water bottle, your laptop, or whatever, but that is over on Patreon. Well, baseball family, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Just a heads up, we are going to be bumping the lives back to Thursday, so we will catch you Thursday night.